Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, April 2nd, and my poem for today is by Li Young Lee. And Mr. Barasa read a poem by him earlier in the week. I learned about him pretty recently because he is one of the commentators, one of the people who speak about poems on the Poetry in America class that I'm taking through Harvard Extension. So through that class, there are a bunch of videos and different poets and other people come on and talk about them, and he was one of them. And so I looked up a little bit about him. He's a living poet. He was born in Indonesia, and his parents were Chinese political exiles. And it's kind of a crazy story. So I'm reading from the Poetry Foundation here. Both of Lee's parents came from powerful Chinese families. Lee's great-grandfather was the first president of the Republic of China, and Lee's father had been the personal physician to Mao Zedong. And so they moved to Indonesia, and then anti-Chinese sentiment began to foment in Indonesia. So his father was arrested and held as a political prisoner for a year. And then they had to flee Indonesia. They went to Hong Kong, Macau, and Japan, and then they arrived in the US. So he has kind of a intense background. And I have found myself this week being drawn to poems about family. And I talked a little bit about that the other day, but so many of us are either stuck inside with parts of our family or stuck away from other members of our family. And I found this poem that he wrote called I Ask My Mother to Sing. And I'm going to read it first and then talk a little bit about why I chose it. It reminded me of memories with my family. And so I'll read the poem. It is a sonnet, which means it's 14 lines. And he kind of follows some of the rules of sonnets, but not all of them. It's not all in iambic pentameter. There isn't a super clear rhyme scheme. But a lot of contemporary poets are using sonnets to kind of write their own stories onto this really very old form. So here's the poem. I Ask My Mother to Sing by Li Young Lee. She begins, and my grandmother joins her. Mother and daughter sing like young girls. If my father were alive, he would play his accordion and sway like a boat. I've never been in Peking or the Summer Palace, nor stood on the great stone boat to watch the rain begin on Kunming Lake, the picnickers running away in the grass. But I love to hear it sung, how the water lilies fill with rain until they overturn, spilling water into water, then rock back and fill with more. Both women have begun to cry, but neither stops her song. And so this poem reminded me of being a kid, elementary school, middle school, at my grandparents' house. And so I've been thinking about my grandparents a lot. I was there at their house at the beginning of the break when my grandfather passed away from a long illness. So I've been thinking about memories with him and with them. And I'm just thinking about being a kid and sitting there and everyone around me is speaking Greek and I have no idea what they're saying. But I remember not really feeling left out, even though I didn't understand. I felt like I was part of something because I got to witness my family speaking in, for some of them, their first language, and hearing them sing Greek songs and joining in and just experiencing all of that joy and that history. And so I feel lucky that I got to experience that. And so, yeah, an image that really stands out to me in this poem is the water lilies fill with rain until they overturn, spilling water into water, then rock back and fill with more. And right after that, you see the image of the women crying. And so water shows up in both places. So I hope you like that, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.